Hey everybody, it's Karen at Simply Living for Him. I'm back to do my daily devotionals. I know it's been kind of a while since I've been able to get on here. Life has been crazy. And today's devotional is so in line with what I've been feeling lately, so I can't wait to share with you. Before I start, I wanted to mention I have a Simplify Your Homeschool online course, webinar, whatever you want to call it. It's 4 videos from me encouraging you in your walk with homeschooling. We're going to deal with all kinds of things from schedules to homeschooling multiple ages to curriculum, but most of all, I'm sharing with you kind of like a heart tune-up, because I really believe when your spiritual house is in order, then you can thrive in your homeschool and find peace and order, but not until we get our hearts straight. So this e-course or this webinar has 4 videos, free downloads for you, and lifetime access. So you can go to the link that I'm going to put here in this video or to simplylivingforhim.com and you can find it there. So today I wanted to talk to you about this idea that we walk by faith and not by sight. And that comes from 2 Corinthians 5:7, which says, "For we walk by faith and not by sight." And I remember many years ago, I was driving in my car and it was in one of these like horrific times of fog, really dense fog. I couldn't see more than a few inches in front of the car, and it was becoming quite terrifying because I could only see a teeny bit ahead of me. I sort of had to rely on what I knew. Thankfully, I was not far from my home, so I knew what was coming up, sort of. So I had an idea where I was, but I could not see. I could not see if there were cars coming in front of me. I could not see if there was much, right there in front of me. Just a few inches ahead. And I always think of that picture as that's kind of how God wants us to live. He kind of gives us the layout, like, you know what, you're on this earth, these are the things where you are, but from day to day, it can change. From day to day, you cannot see what is coming ahead. And that's the way He wants it. I often think of it, even in my homeschooling journey, it's almost like when I began homeschooling, I could not have imagined what was down the line, nor do I think God ever wanted me to know what was down the line. It's like when you start walking as a toddler, you don't know that there's going to be all these obstacles and sometimes you're going to fall down, right? You just know what you know. Put one foot in front of the other. And so I remember thinking about that in my homeschooling journey. Like, I'm glad I didn't know all that was to come because I wasn't meant to. God had lessons for me along the way that required, just what this says in this verse, faith. We cannot walk with God if we're not walking in faith. So it says we walk by faith and not by sight. We trust an unseen God, right? We may see Him in nature or see characteristics of Him or see things, but we don't physically see Him face to face yet in front of us, right? And so we sort of know He's there and we're confident in that, and that's where our trust comes from. So that's where that walking by faith comes from, because we don't actually have Him there saying, follow me, follow my physical being. He's saying, I've given you all you need to know in my word here, and you need to trust, and you need to put one foot in front of the other. So just like driving in that foggy car, I had to just take it a little bit at a time. I could only go as far as I could see and have faith in the car and in my surroundings and in God that all would be okay. And I think of that right now in my life. Like I alluded to in the beginning, I've been having a lot of just every day. I said to my husband, every day, it's like I'm putting fires out. As soon as I feel like I get one thing solved, something else, like whack-a-mole, something else pops up. As soon as I'm like, oh good, we have like a joyous moment, something else pops up. And I really believe that God wants us to live that way. He is all-knowing. He knows everything. We don't. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to trust Him with each step. Even during this time of this pandemic, no one back in March would predict that we are where we are here in August. No one would have imagined all of this. And that's because we're not supposed to know sometimes. We're just supposed to walk in faith. Things can change from moment to moment, from day to day, from year to year. We just have to walk by faith that God knows what's ahead. And that takes a huge amount of faith. I often say that I pray with my palms up, meaning I do this like physically and literally open my hands sometimes when I'm praying, because otherwise I hold too tight to what I want. But when I open my hands, it's an act of surrender, and it really helps me to feel like, God, my life is yours, and whatever happens today, tomorrow, the next day, it's in your hands. I texted a friend this week and I told her, I want to pray with my palms up. I want to live with my palms up this week, but can you help me hold them up? Because sometimes they feel heavy to hold them up, and I need people to come in and encourage me, like, keep doing it, keep walking in faith. So I encourage you today, if you're feeling like you don't know what tomorrow brings, or you don't know what the next moment means, maybe you're feeling a little discouraged like me, that from one minute to the next, we're just living in such an unknown time, and things are quickly changing all the time. And it's okay. It's okay. If we have God and we can walk in faith, this is a time where we are really training our spiritual muscles, right? We're really relying on God for everything, because the world is crazy, the world is upside down, things are changing left and right. It's like driving in that fog. You only know what you know right now in this moment, and the rest of the time you have to choose to walk by faith and not by sight.